So that's exciting. You guys will get to meet my dog. Like, I'm excited, hey? I'm excited. It's so easy for you to wallow and forget to appreciate like the things that you do have. So for me, I think one thing I've had to work on, and it was like my goal from the time when I read this book, I'm bringing it again. This was the very first book I reviewed, Mindpower in the 21st Century. You can even watch it. It was my first video. And the first thing I was like, I want to learn this. It's prosperity consciousness. That's what he calls it. And it's like abundance mindset. So I'll just read you a paragraph or a few pages. The thing is, I would love to paraphrase it, but like I really wish like when you read it, you hear it. Yeah, Eve. So in this book, it's actually chapter 17. As I said in the first video, the chapters are very short, very sweet, very to the point. So chapter 17, it starts with, anyone desiring financial independence must first develop a prosperity consciousness. Notice I said develop, because prosperity consciousness does not happen by chance. No one is born with it, nor can it be given to you. It is a state of mind tuned and vibrating to expect, acknowledge, and see prosperity and opportunities everywhere. The opposite of prosperity consciousness is scarcity consciousness. Scarcity consciousness expects and acknowledges lack, limitation, and sees it everywhere. No one will ever achieve financial success with the scarcity conscious. It isn't possible. You cannot stimulate you cannot simultaneously travel both the path to riches and the path to poverty, for they go in opposite directions. Do you have a prosperity consciousness or a scarcity consciousness? If you find that you have a scarcity consciousness, your task is clear. You must rid yourself of the mental ball and chain and develop the necessary prosperity consciousness. There are 5 steps to follow in building a prosperity consciousness. So I'm just going to focus on step number 1. I think for me, this one really spoke to me. And step number 1 really says you need to develop prosperity beliefs, right? So it says there are 4 prosperity beliefs. I will focus on 3. Ne? You know what I think is sort of lacking here is we focus so much on developing the prosperity consciousness, right? But we also need to acknowledge why it exists within us, scarcity complex. And I think that's something he doesn't really touch on or elaborate on so as much, as that it's not odd for you to be traumatized by scarcity or to be traumatized by not having. And I think particularly for Black individuals, particularly for people that are women or anybody that is disadvantaged, it's very valid. I think that's what I want to say. That scarcity or the fear of not having is very valid. It's a fair concern because it's your lived experience, right? And that's something you've developed along the way. And even I hate this thing of you are saying, poverty mindset. Like, what do you mean? Firstly, what do you mean? Like, do you honestly think people walk around in the world and think that, you know what, I want to suffer? Like, I want to, yes, you can give me anything in the world, unganika the freedom, the money, but I want to suffer. No, it's not the case. But your mind has programmed itself to build barriers or limits for what you think is possible for you. And it's fair, because basically where you come from, that will be your point. Your position of endowment will determine, firstly, how far your view is. It becomes much more difficult for you to imagine a world you've never existed in. And that's why even when you move out of the space of scarcity, sometimes you become shocked. But wow, dude, how did I get here? Wow, I never knew that. I never knew that I'd get here, because even in your image, you had an idea of freedom, but you didn't know how much more of it you could get, how much more abundance you could get. And that's why sometimes you find yourself in a position of so much abundance. Like, I was just thinking it's about abundant up to here, and then I've got more than I ever expected, or I've got it sooner than when I've expected it. And then I'm dishuk ngogi abundance. Dishuk. And it's not an odd thing. And I want us all to get to a point where we don't shame people because they have a scarcity. So city, I look, you must go scarcity complex. Or we must. No, it's not odd. And for as much as you believe that you can learn to have a positivity or a prosperity consciousness or prosperity beliefs, it also means that it's possible for somebody else to have those scarcity consciousness, and it's because it's also developed in your circumstance. But it's about, let's all encourage or try to break past that scarcity consciousness that really does haunt us. And makes us feel like we're not entitled to the best of the best of the best. And let's challenge that. So go to apa the 4 main beliefs. Ne? Belief number 1. Belief number 1 is that it's an abundant universe. Here I'm not gonna read the full paragraph, so I'm just gonna pick and choose from the book, or from the paragraph really. Ne? And it says here, prosperity consciousness believes that it's an abundant universe. Ne? That there's a lot of everything, wait for it, for everyone. Just for you. There's a lot of everything for everyone. Ne? If we open ourselves up to it. Ne? Scarcity consciousness says there's not enough to go around. Ne? It says, if I have a lot, then someone else goes without. Or if I get a promotion, then someone else misses out. There's 2 things, zimbini nje perspectives that I want to touch on. If I go without, then somebody else misses out. And for me, I want to speak specifically to women and their reality. This constant, I've seen women having these conversations, this constant need of having to bring everyone in. Yabo, when you succeed, I must bring everyone in, and I must carry everyone with me, because we've been conditioned, ne, that community is our success, ne, versus a male-dominated world where it's not community is mine. I'm successful, and then I provide for the community because it fills me. But it's so different for women that women even feel guilty about progressing without other people. And fair, and it's a great trait to have, a sense of community, but not when you're taking away from yourself, right? Because there's a point of selflessness, ne, that actually becomes like self-deteriorating. It means that when you can never be happy for yourself, for the work you've put in, for the effort you've put in, for the whatever, because you feel like you're not taking everybody with you. Ne? And sometimes those opportunities to take everyone with you are not there. Yeah, well, so it's great that we have that sense of community, but don't shy away from your individual successes because you feel like that's scarcity complex. You feel like if you're achieving, nobody else is. Ne? No. We are achiever. Well done. People have their space and time, and there's a world of abundance, and there's a world of achievements that the next person can get. And I see it specifically with women that they want to first do it for everyone, right? Do it to make everyone happy. And it's, I won't even lie, guys, the way I think girls and women are raised to be conscious, to be caring for others is very important, and I think it's a great trait. But I think that also there's a point of self-regulation that has to come in to say that, babes, yeyako, that achievement, and I'm not only to women, I've seen it a lot in women, that achievement is yours, ne? And there is plenty more for everybody else to achieve as well. You may be able to assist them, you may be able to, but your success does not mean that, like, you're neglecting the world. You worked for that. You did that, Miguel. That thing of, I can succeed. And there's so much more success for everyone else. And it doesn't always have to be attached to you. It doesn't always have to be driven by you. It doesn't, where it can, great. But zero, tap yourself on the back. You're not doing a terrible job if you've succeeded in something and you didn't bring someone with you. But it would be great. But it mustn't become higher weighting in your rubric than yourself. So that's number one. There's another line that goes on here. Scarcity consciousness believes that everyone is competing against everyone else for the same thing. Like, that there's no opportunities, ne? That there's very little. There's even a part where it says it believes that there's very little money, there's so little opportunities, so little. I think there's a great part in Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Outliers, a very brilliant book for you to read. And The Outlier, was it The Outliers or was it Tipping Point? One of Malcolm Gladwell's books, which speaks about, it really speaks about how many billionaires there were in a certain point in time and how many more billionaires there are now in the USA, right? Whereas if you sat there with the scarcity mindset, you would think that, so in order for me to be a billionaire, I must take the position of someone else. So my second point is really, when the fact that other people are achieving, when the fact that other people are progressing, you think that they're taking your position. That's a scarcity complex, ne? And what happens then when you feel like you're competing with everyone, you can't share, you can't because you're so fixated on, this is my point, this is my blog. If I share with Usman, she's going to be successful. She's going to take my position. She's going to, that job, it's for me. That non, it's for me. Don't. Because you believe the pie is this small. When really the pie is huge. It might not be meant for you. There's something else meant for you. But the mere fact that you think that it's always a position, like there's so many spaces of success, there's limited entries into success. Ne? When if somebody else is doing well, then it means that I'm not doing well, or they're taking my position. Watch for that. Scarcity complex. That's why it's so tough for you to be happy for somebody else, because you think that the pie is that small. That's why it's so tough for you to acknowledge the successes of somebody else, because scarcity, ingaphakathi. That means what you have to do? Work. You need to work on that thing that makes you think that when somebody else is achieving, that way now you are diminishing. No, because if there's no space at the table, we'll extend it. Where people pride themselves, I'm the only black person at that table. Why does it make you happy? When the South African majority is black, why does being the only or the first black in 2020 make you happy? Why does it make you feel special? Why doesn't it concern you? Right? That, come on guys, how many black individuals do we know are talented, are phenomenal, are siyabazi guys, we've gone to school with them, we've sat at tables, we've listened to them, and then you tell me there's space for only one black person and that's you. Come on. And you think that means, wow, Like, I mean, great, well done. But it's a concern. Why aren't there more women where you're at? Why aren't there more people living with disabilities at the table you're at? You're going to be happy when about, you know, and I went to that space and I was the only black a woman. No, it's about weird. That's weird. And this is not a drag, like it's something like an inferiority complex, because you feel like when you're in a place or a position of your oppressor, it makes you different, it makes you other, it makes you, and that when you were so deserving. There's even a book by Melinda Gates that speaks of when you were so deserving and so special, to be in that position. But that's because your pie is this size. You think that in order to be impactful, or in order to be remembered, or in order to be special, you need to be the only one that looks and that looks like you in a space, so that you stand out, so that you become more special. But that's because your pie is radada. Say anda pie. Yeah, also I think when you observe how people treat like graduates or anyone that's young and new in the business, so protective of your space, like, because when this is your baby, open up. You know how much you can succeed by getting somebody else's opinion, somebody else's perspective. When the people around you are succeeding, that builds a network. It builds your reach, because they'll know more successful people. It builds even your own abundance. When you believe that the world is abundant, it allows you or enables you to really get into that abundance, number one. And it also allows you to sow the seeds for that abundance. So guys, it's tough, right? Because it's tough because we cling onto weird and wonderful things to make ourselves feel and think that we're special, make us feel and think that we're unique, and that's fine, that's great, feel it. But even if you're sitting in a boardroom with 20 black people, it doesn't lessen the value or lessen the skill or lessen No. Absolutely not. Maybe there may even be better understanding, but come on, you're abundant in your thinking. Number two is that life is fun and rewarding. So iti apa scarcity consciousness believes that life is hard, filled with problems and difficulties. Scarcity consciousness believes that you have to work hard for everything that you get. Come on. La. Hey, for everything that you get. Prosperity consciousness looks at life as an adventure. It expects rewards. And it looks for fun and joy in life and always finds them. When problems and difficulties arise, they come and they're seen as a challenge. If they are seen as a challenge, ignore that they're there. Prosperity consciousness appreciates life, and knows that every new challenge comes with greater rewards, new adventures, and more fun. That life is full, rich, and rewarding. New experiences and more success lies at every corner. So, self-explanatory, Gele. Self-explanatory. But one thing I wanted to touch on from a scarcity mindset perspective is thinking that everything has to be difficult and you have to work hard. And no. Firstly, you'll work hard and you'll see, but sometimes it's not. Unfortunately, we wish that relationship was linear. The relationship between hard work and reward, it's not. And because we think that it's linear, like one thing I'd love is when we have children, there's no need for them to suffer like we suffered. There's no need for the people like our nephews or whatever to suffer like we suffered, because we'll say that hard work, you must learn how to work hard. How's about they learn to work hard from a place of comfort? Can we do that? Can we do that where we put people at positions of advantage? Like similar when you've studied, you've whatevered, or you're studying with people and you have notes or whatever that you guys, study notes that you guys can share or whatever. Just because you wrote those notes, or to know everybody must write their own notes. But you know the difficulty. You know the work that you put in, but you can share it with someone else and benefit them. Why not? Like, why not? Why does everybody have to suffer like you do, right? Because there's no way on earth that you're willing to suffer as much as you suffered and suffer also over and above the way others have suffered. Like, so don't be that person, but I was made emfazweni. So no. Come on. No, come on. Like, come on. To the point whereby you're even willing to punish the people that you love because they haven't gone through your hardships. I think that's a little strange. I was going to say sadistic, but then it's going to seem a bit attacking. It's a little strange, guys. Wherever you can make somebody's life easier or make sure that they don't suffer as much as you do. I will never help people because everybody must experience what I experience. Boring. Grow up. Like, not everybody has to suffer in the way that you've suffered, and it's tough because sometimes you grow like a bond with your suffering, with your trauma and your whatever, but it's absolutely not necessary. Wherever you can make somebody's life better, I believe that it's very important to do so. Be it your friends, be it your children one day, be it your nephews, your nieces, your colleagues, your whatever. Take up the opportunity, man. But take up the opportunity to make somebody else's life better. And then number 3, there are staggering numbers of opportunities in every aspect of my life. That's prosperity belief number 3, and it's the last one that I'm going to speak to. Scarcity consciousness believes that there are no opportunities around, and the best you can expect is what's happening right now. Yeah? Oh, it tricks you into believing that it doesn't matter what you do, that all the good ideas have been taken up, yeah? Or that the time isn't right to start new ones. Oh, naive. Okay. With scarcity consciousness, the situation is always hopeless and there is never any point in trying. Ne? Prosperity consciousness believes that there are a staggering number of opportunities in every aspect of your life. Staggering numbers. Not 1, not 2 or 5 or 10, but staggering number of opportunities. Open up your eyes, open up your mind with a prosperity consciousness, and you'll quickly begin to see them. Yeah? So here I remember the story that John actually shared. John shared this story of when he'd set up, I think it was sort of like a treasure hunt with one of his partners or whatever on Easter. Yeah? And he'd hidden things in the garden, like a few things. And then she came back. Oh, so she went out and she found like the gifts or whatever. And I think he probably, let's say, put out 20. Yeah. And so she found 5 or 10 or whatever. And she came back and she's like, whew, like I found all of the gifts. Like, I'm so chuffed. And he's like, who told you there was 10 or 5? And in her head, it's because that's the most she thought he would have given him. Ne? Or there was a limiting belief with regards to how many gifts and how much abundance exists, right? So she was like, whew, is there not 10? And then John was like, no, I didn't put out 10. Go out and look some more. And then she goes out again and she finds, and she's like, yo, I found the final 5. Which is 15. So that was the next point. Where your next thinking was that, okay, if it's not 10, it's 15. Ne? And actually there was obviously more, and then he ended up telling her how much there was, and then she looked for that number. But that's how your brain works, right? Is that when you reach a point and you feel like you've reached a point, there's staggering opportunities. Like there's more and more and more and more. And even at this point in your life, you might think I'm blessed, or whenever you feel like, oh, you're blessed, I have, but I'll try to, it's not saying, but don't be content, right? But also don't think that, like, whoever it is, if you believe in God or whatever, that they've stopped blessing you because you feel blessed. No, there's more. It's staggering, and it gets better and better and better with time. And I think for me personally in my life, I keep experiencing it where I'm like, yo, God has really come through for me in this way. I believe in God, so God has really come through for me in this way, and I feel like, you know what, I'm blessed like this and this. And then sometimes you just don't feel blessed, sometimes you do feel blessed, but sometimes you're like, yo, I'm blessed. I can't see what else could be done now to elevate my experience. That's because my mind is stuck there. I think that's where it is. Even my biggest dream, at the biggest dreams in the moment, kuta, surface, babes, you're gonna get there and you'll see there's more blessings on the other side. And I think that's really an abundance mindset, to think that there's so many more blessings that are chasing after you and that they're everywhere. Like, abundance is everywhere. And I think that's the third prosperity belief that I wanted to leave you guys with. And I think more on a personal perspective, how really this has come into my own life, is so from a scarcity consciousness belief, and I think it even comes from that video that I made with Ubuhle with regards to money and things like that. Yo guys, like, some of us didn't, like, my parents tried to give us the best life, and truly appreciate that, and like I truly do, and I treasure it, and I know, like, my parents were the biggest sacrifices, like, ever. But at the end of the day, there were certain situations where you'd felt like, I don't have as much as everyone else, or if I waste money, there's nowhere else I'm gonna get it from. And it's taught you responsibility and things like that, but it's also taught a large aspect of scarcity, that when you want to do something for yourself, it becomes so difficult, because you're just like, oh, what if I spend this and then I have nothing? And it's true, like, it happens that you become broke or whatever, but at the end of the day, there is an element of scarcity that's continuously growing in your mind, that even when you experience some sense of abundance in your life, or some sense of achievement, she's like, look back. Also, like, if I mess this up, then I'm gonna go back to I can't, So I think really that's one thing I've really tried to unlearn, especially from a financial. I am a pretty frugal person, very calculated. That's that. But that's who I am financially. I wouldn't say frugal, but yeah, here and there. But there's a point where it's not just coming from a place of I like to plan and make sure things are done. There's sometimes a sense of fear that happens, and I think there was something I'd seen about sometimes perfectionism is just fear manifesting itself or whatever. Sometimes it's fear manifesting itself, right? And so really it's about trying to be in the mindset of where you are. Like, where am I at realistically? Can I do this for myself? Sometimes the answer is yes, but you're feeling unquasi, and I think I'll just leave it there. This is a very long video, but I hope you guys honestly and thoroughly enjoyed it. I do have some videos that I've shot, like I've shot a vlog with my family. So now that I've let this out, I'll be able to share that with you. You guys enjoyed that, and I hope some of it actually spoke to you. Feel free to share like what really stuck with you, what you enjoyed. Don't forget to share which wine you're gonna have, which wine you enjoy. Maybe recommend some wine that I can try for the next time that I sit down and have some wine. Please guys, stay safe. Love you lots. Mwah.